Okay, so you guys have been waiting for me to come up with a great way to seal your snow globe tumblers. I know this is a huge pain point for so many of you in the snow globe tumbler world, and I know I said I had one piece to the puzzle here, and now we have the second piece of the puzzle. So now you can easily seal your snow globe tumblers without having to cut the furniture bumpers, worry about tape that comes loose and gets gunky. None of that anymore. You are going to be able to now cast your own plugs with our soft coat UV resin, and it fits right into the hole that you drill. So then all you're going to do is seal it up with more UV resin. You're going to use the original formula to seal it up the rest of the way on the bottom, and that's it. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it right now, and it's so easy. So easy. So let me show you what one of the plugs looks like. Hi, Robert. Here's what one of the plugs looks like after you cast it. And do you see how it's flexible? It's easy to maneuver around, so it fits right inside the hole, makes it super simple. So I've been working on a Wednesday tumbler. So I want to finish that tumbler up. So we're going to seal it together so you guys can see how it works. All right, so I'm going to move this one out of the way. And we are going to move the Wednesday tumbler in. So this is the Wednesday tumbler. Right now I am using the snow globe tumbler plugs, the corks, just to keep it nice and dry until I have time to get back to it. It holds in your solution very easily so that you don't have to worry about it evaporating, but it also allows you to move the tumbler back and forth so that you can mix in the glitter and the glue solution if you wish. So we're going to take one of these plugs out, just like that. And I'm going to show you how to cast your plugs. Now, there are two different size plugs in this mold. So you'll have the 5/16 inch and you'll also have a 1/4 inch. Now I'm using the 5/16 inch for this one, but you can choose either one, and you can do up to 8 in each size. This is going to give you a big enough one for up to each size. So we're going to do that now. So I'm going to take my soft coat. There's 100 grams in this bottle. And we are simply going to fill our mold just past the top. So there's a little bit of a ridge around the top. You don't want to overfill it because you want it to be, you still want that ridge to fit flush with the bottom of the tumbler. So we're just going to fill this up a little bit past that ridge. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to take my silicone brush, and I am just going to move some of that resin to make sure that it touches all the way around the outside, just like this. There we go. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just going to seal up the plug hole on the bottom. Like that. Now just take a look, make sure you don't see any bubbles. You don't want any bubbles in it. If you notice any, you can either let it rest until those bubbles get to the top, or you can try to nip them with a lighter. So it's a super sturdy mold. You can cast in this over and over and over and over again. You can make hundreds of plugs and have your own supply, but the nice thing is you'll know that they actually fit. They're actually going to fit. So I'm just making sure that I get all of the bubbles. Perfect. Okay, so once that's done, we are going to put that in the lamp, cure it, and I'm only going to need to do 45 seconds on one side, turn it over, 45 seconds on the other side. Super, super easy. And we are going to cure this again, 45 seconds on each side. So we're going to do this for 45 seconds and then flip it over and do it another 45 seconds. Now we're turning it over. I'm going to do it for 45 seconds on this side. I've had so much trouble with the glue dots getting them to fit. They don't fit. That's the biggest problem. So you have to keep trimming and trimming and trimming and trimming, and they're not tight. It's only providing just a little bit of seal for you. So the solution is still going to get out and it's going to evaporate faster. With this being more of an airtight, or at least close to airtight, depending on how you drill your hole, you have a way better opportunity here because it's going to hold in that solution better and it's going to save you a ton of time. So I can only tell you, because so many people have so many versions of these tumblers that are pre-drilled and I have no idea what they're doing to do that. I can only tell you the exact measurements of the plugs that I have. So this is a 5/16 inch. Thank you so much, Taylor. Hi. So this is a 5/16 inch hole and a 1/4 inch hole. So as long as you are drilling it to that spec, then you are not going to have any problem whatsoever. So you're going to drill it 5/16 inch or 1/4 inch is going to be the drill bit that you use, and it fits perfect inside that tumbler. All right, so now that I have my plugs ready to go, I've got them all cast and ready to go. Now I'm going to take my alcohol spray and we're going to seal up one side of this tumbler first. We're going to do one side. So I'm taking some alcohol and I'm just going to clean the surface here before I plug this up. And you can even sand a little bit if you really want a good adhesion. You can just sand a little bit right here with a little bit of sandpaper. But we're just going to go ahead and get this all ready to go with some alcohol. All right, so now that I have my alcohol, I am going to use my mold right here. And I'm just going to prop up my tumbler a little bit because that allows all of the air to get to the top right here. So I've got one little air bubble here that I'll seal with the second hole. So now I've got my original formula here. So I'm going to take my original formula. Boop. Thanks, Heather. Thank you. We're going to take the original formula, and I like to work off of my mat. That's how I like to do it. I'm going to move my camera up just a little bit here to give me a little bit more room. And I'm going to put just a little bit of UV resin right here on my mat, like that. And remember, you don't need a ton. A little bit goes a long way, so don't be stressing about the amount you're using. You can always add more, but I like working directly from my mat because it's a little bit easier for me to control. All right, so we're going to take our silicone brush. We're going to dip it right into our resin, just like this. And we are going to go right around the rim, right around the rim of the hole here. Don't need a ton, but what this is going to do is just provide a really good seal between the plug that you just cast and the tumbler itself. So just a little bit around here is all you need. Okay, we're going to take our plug and we are going to put it right into that 5/16 inch hole and press it down just like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cure it. Now you can press it down and cure, which is what I like to do, but you don't have to. This is just another way that I like to try to, make it a little bit easier for me. All right, so as long as you're pressing down a little bit, you can go hands-free after that. You just want it to have a nice tight seal. So I'm gonna move this over here while this is finishing up. Turning my lamp on its side. Perfect. Awesome, awesome. So we are going to do that side first. We are going to cure the one side first, and then we'll move over to the other side. And you can do this with a flashlight. You don't have to do it with a big, huge lamp like I'm doing right now. You can definitely still achieve it with the flashlight. It's totally up to you. Now, I will say one thing. Make sure that you're drilling your hole in the middle of the ridge, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by that in just a second. Okay, so what I mean by that is when you guys are drilling your holes, make sure you're drilling it in the middle here. not like closer to the center, because there's this ridge right here. And you don't want to nick that ridge or hit that ridge in any way. So you want to make sure this is an example of one of the plugs right here. Now, this isn't going to be like, because everyone drills their holes differently, they drill them at different speeds. There's still, I can't guarantee you every single plug is going to be airtight, but it doesn't have to be, because you're sealing it with UV resin after you get the plug in. The plug is simply an effective placeholder until you seal the entire bottom of this. It will help to hold that liquid in better. That's the whole purpose of it. So I'm going to try to give you a little bit of a close-up here of what it looks like after you get this plug in. So now I'm going to seal around this plug. So before you do that, you want to make sure that it's nice and clean. So I'm going to put a little bit of alcohol spray on my little shop towel here. And we're going to go right over the plug that we just made with resin. And we just want to make sure that it's dry. Nice and dry in here. So anything you can do to get that air bubble up to that top is what you want to do. The more dry you can get it, the better. I always like blow on it too. As I blow glitter everywhere. All right, then you're going to take your original formula UV resin and go right on top of that plug that you just put in. Just like that. And then you're going to cure it. Like that. All right, so that's 45 seconds. And this is what it looks like when it's done. So you're going to repeat this process on this side, like so. You're going to repeat it, and then that way you can seal the entire bottom in if you want to do it with glitter or whatever, whatever your process may be. So we're going to take this cork out next and follow the same process here. This is where you're going to top it off too. You're going to top it off with your solution. That's going to help eliminate it. So this is after you've degassed it, this is when you want to follow this process. All right, so now that we have our solution here, we have our bubbles at the top, I'm just going to slowly add in more solution just to try to get rid of any air bubbles that might be there before I put my second plug in. Now you're not going to fill it to the brim because you need a little bit of space for that plug, which is this. I always recommend test the plug beforehand, because if you drilled too close to the edge, like see this one's a little close to the edge, you'll want to trim that so that it's not putting force on the plug. It all depends on where you drill your hole and how precise your hole is. So this is a good way to show you guys how this works. Okay, so now that I have my plug and I know that my hole is a little bit too much toward the edge here, all you're going to do is just take your plug and just trim it. Just trim the side off. That's it, to make it flat right there. Because these are round. They're round to fit around the plug hole, if you can imagine. So now this is nice and solid, which is good. I'm just going to add a little bit more to it. Put my resin around the hole here. Like so. Bam. All right. We're going to take our plug and we're going to put it right into that hole. Just like that. And see, now that I've trimmed that side, it's flush with that edge, which is exactly what we want. So I'm going to hold that down and cure for just a few seconds. Perfect. Now we're going to finish the cure, and then we're just going to top it off with some original formula. So I'm going to mix up my original formula here with some glitter so that it has some bling to it. Okay, so this is the glitter one. We're gonna use this mixing stick and we're gonna mix this in. Again, this is the original formula. Okay, so now that we've got that mixed, now we're going to dump it right onto the bottom of our tumbler, and you just want to make sure that you don't mix too much, because what you don't want is a wobbly cup. I hate wobbly cups. I refuse to have a wobbly cup. It drives me absolutely bananas. So just make sure that the coat is thick enough to cover where you plugged it, but thin enough to not be bubbly when it's done. So we're going to spread this out and make sure that you're going all the way up against the rim at the bottom here, like so. And you're just going to go right over. The whole goal is that you won't even be able to see where you plugged these. It's just going to make it seamless. It also provides a really nice base for the decal that we talked about. So if you're doing a decal and you know for a fact you're doing a decal, try not to make the bottom too bumpy. All right, let's run a little bit of heat over top where any bubbles have come up. Looking great, looking great. So the resin's running a little bit over there, a little bit down on the side here. So what I'm gonna do is add just a little bit more glitter here, because we're gonna seal this in also, but I'm gonna add a little bit more glitter right here. Perfect. Now, let's add a little more resin. And remember, this formula is self-leveling, so you don't have to worry about there being uneven spots. You just have to give it enough time to level out. But this looks great. It looks so good. All right, one more round of heat and let's cure this bad boy. What I do as one last fail-proof checkpoint, I want to show you guys the side so that you can see how there's nothing sticking out. It is level or just below level with the actual tumbler itself. That's a very important part because you don't want a wobbly cup. So this looks pretty daggone good to me. So we're gonna go ahead and seal it. All right, so we're gonna give this 45 seconds and then this tumbler will be pretty much done. This is when we would actually put our decal down and then put the last coat on it. So we'll see how it looks when it's done. Okay, it's rock solid, it's ready. Now, if you're gonna put a decal down, now would be the time to put it down.